Yeah,
but she needs to be on a better. She needs to be on a better team.
A secret deal is being brokered in the shadows, far from the prying eyes and cameras of ESPN, and it's about to shatter the WNBA into a million pieces. While the league was busy letting its biggest star get treated like a human piñata, Caitlin Clark was reportedly making moves of her own, and her destination in Europe could leave the entire American basketball world in absolute ruins. This isn't just a rumor, it's a time bomb.
She struggled with physical defense she's faced at the professional level and voiced frustration with the league's officiating, recently telling reporters, quote, "I feel like I'm getting hammered and everybody is physical with me, and opponents get away with things that other people don't get away with." That's what Caitlin Clark.
The whispers of a European contract didn't just appear out of thin air. They were forged in the fire of the brutal, relentless physicality Clark has endured since her first day in the league. The breaking point for many was the infamous hip check from Chennedy Carter, a blatant off-ball assault that the league initially treated like a minor inconvenience. That single moment sent a cold, clear message to the world. In the WNBA, its brightest star had a giant target on her back, and absolutely no one was coming to save her.
What I am upset about, it's like, hey man, your meal ticket is under constant attack. There's been dirty plays all season.
Sources inside ESPN are now claiming there's a state of full-blown DEFCON 1 panic. The network bet the farm on the Caitlin Clark effect, and for a while it paid off in spectacular, record-shattering fashion. But now, with rumors of her exit getting louder by the day, executives are scrambling in a desperate attempt to perform damage control. They thought they had a golden goose for the next decade, but their unforgivable failure to protect her has led her to look for a new home, leaving them with nothing but a giant empty nest and collapsing ratings projections.
Kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league, and she's a rookie.
It's even more tragic when you look at what she accomplished amidst the unrelenting chaos. While carrying the dead weight of the Indiana Fever on her back, she was putting up legendary numbers, often being the only player on the court capable of making a play. She'd deliver a perfect no-look pass, only to watch it fumbled away, or drain a clutch logo three-pointer while her teammates seemed utterly lost. She wasn't just playing against her opponents, she was fighting a losing battle against the sheer incompetence that surrounded her.
Caitlin Clark was assaulted yesterday in her very first playoff game in the WNBA.
And that leads to the unspoken truth about her team. This wasn't just about a rookie learning the ropes, it was about a generational talent being shackled to a squad that simply couldn't keep up. Her teammates often seemed preoccupied, staring at her in awe instead of cutting to the basket or getting open for a shot. They made a series of baffling mistakes, missed wide open layups, and executed plays that a high school coach would have benched them for. Clark was a maestro trying to conduct an orchestra of amateurs, and the resulting music was a painful, dissonant mess.
The Indiana Fever, all right, with Caitlin Clark, led the league in attendance both home and on the road. Fever averaged 17,000.
The impact she had on the league's bottom line, however, was undeniable. Before Clark's arrival, the Indiana Fever was lucky to get 3,000 people in the stands for a home game. After she was drafted, arenas were selling out with over 17,000 screaming fans, a mind-boggling increase of over 400%. The league wasn't just growing, it was exploding into the mainstream consciousness. For the first time in its history, WNBA games were the hottest ticket in town, all because of one player they refused to treat with even a shred of respect.
If Caitlin Clark is the quote-unquote savior, if she's the golden girl, milk it!
But the league's quiet, unspoken philosophy seemed to be about sharing the wealth and not letting one player overshadow the rest of the so-called stars. In doing so, they completely and utterly missed the point. They didn't just have a star on their hands, they had a cultural phenomenon, a once-in-a-generation talent who was single-handedly making the league relevant on a global scale. Instead of building a towering empire around her, they tried to dim her blinding light just to make others feel included.
The truth is finally coming to the light. The same light that is going to be dimming here in about 12 hours when Caitlin Clark is eliminated from the playoffs.
Let's talk about the cold, hard cash they took completely for granted. Caitlin Clark's number 22 jersey became the highest-selling jersey in WNBA history within a matter of weeks, outselling established legends, Hall of Famers, and even some of the biggest NBA stars. She was a walking, breathing merchandise empire. Her games transformed into must-see television, a national event that families gathered around their screens to watch. Yet, the league and its compliant media partners treated her like just another rookie, an inconvenience to their established order.
It's important that we point this out. One of the things that I brought up this morning in talking about Caitlin Clark is that some of the players, you want to use the word jealousy, fine. You want to use the word envy, fine.
The television ratings tell an even more shocking and disastrous story. Her game against the New York Liberty pulled in over 1.5 million viewers, a number that rivals major NBA broadcasts on national television. She was a ratings goldmine, a guaranteed blockbuster every time she stepped on the court. With her departure now looming like a storm on the horizon, ESPN is staring down the barrel of a complete and total viewership collapse. They're left with dusty jerseys, empty seats, and a panel of analysts trying to figure out how they fumbled the easiest win in sports history.
But if you're not delivering the product and you're not making the revenue and you're not, giving people the entertainment that they want, then you're not going to make any money and your league is going.
And the pathetic excuse that she was just getting rookie treatment wore thin almost immediately. This wasn't some time-honored tradition of rookie hazing. This was a targeted campaign of aggression designed to break her. Players weren't just being physical. They were taking cheap shots, hitting her off the ball, and trying to intimidate her out of the league. And every time she was knocked to the cold, hard floor, the league looked the other way, as if this was all just part of the game.
And this woman swats at the basketball and somehow decides to turn her hand down and her fingernails and jab them right into the eye of Caitlin Clark. No foul call. No refs stopping the game to go look. Is this a flagrant? None of that. Just everybody moved on.
But it was deeper than that. This wasn't random aggression. It was a calculated vendetta from the league's veterans. The old guard saw this young phenom come in and steal all the spotlight they felt they deserved, and they decided to make her pay. Every cheap shot, every hard foul was a message, a coordinated effort from the gatekeepers of the league to put her in her place. They weren't welcoming a new star. They were trying to extinguish her light before it could fully shine.
Those guys, they're the racists. When really, y'all are the racists. The people coming up with excuses to hate Caitlin Clark and the new fan base that she brought.
The most damning part of this entire fiasco was the chilling silence from the officials. On countless plays, the referees appeared to swallow their whistles, allowing blatant, dangerous fouls to go completely uncalled. It was as if they were under secret orders to let them play, turning what should have been a professional basketball game into a brutal street brawl. This created an environment where Clark wasn't just unprotected, she was actively and intentionally left vulnerable to attack.
Honestly, it's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. We had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable, honestly. And there's no place for it.
But if the referees were silent, the league's commissioner was deafeningly so. In the face of mounting criticism and clear evidence that its biggest star was being targeted, WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert was practically a ghost. Where was the strong statement condemning the violence? Where was the emergency memo to officials to protect all players, especially the one bringing millions of new fans to her league? Her silence was a betrayal, signaling to the entire world that the league's leadership was either incompetent or complicit.
13,000 followers. And it's really easy to ignore, and most people don't know who she is in the sports world. The only reason why people even know who she is because of Caitlin Clark. And she still only got 14,000 followers on Twitter. She doesn't have much of a brand.
And what about the unseen damage? Imagine the immense psychological toll of being hailed as the league's savior, only to be left defenseless and unsupported by the very organization you're making rich beyond their wildest dreams. You are publicly criticized for your on-court frustrations while being physically pummeled in front of millions of viewers. It's a weight that would crush even the strongest person, and she was forced to bear it all alone.
Your biggest star, your meal ticket, the reason why you have relevancy, just got stabbed and assaulted and nothing.
Then, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, the narrative took an even darker, more twisted turn. Instead of celebrating her unprecedented talent and undeniable impact, some players and media personalities began to question why she was so popular, maliciously injecting a divisive racial debate into the conversation. Her success was suddenly and absurdly framed, not as a product of her incredible skill, but as a result of her skin color.
What I am upset about is like, hey man, your meal ticket is under constant attack. There's been dirty plays all season.
And ESPN, instead of shutting down this toxic and dangerous narrative, grabbed a bucket of gasoline and fanned the flames. They ran countless segments debating the racial dynamics of her fame, giving a massive platform to a storyline that did nothing but create hatred and division. Rather than running highlight reels of her record-breaking performances, they focused on controversy, poisoning the well for the millions of new fans she was bringing to the sport. But the betrayal didn't stop with the network, it trickled down to the so-called experts. The very analysts paid millions to break down the game suddenly turned on her. Instead of calling out the dangerous plays, they labeled her as whiny, or claimed she needed to toughen up. These talking heads, sitting comfortably in their studios, chose cheap clicks over journalistic integrity, completely abandoning their duty to protect the players and the sport itself. They became part of the problem. Through it all, Caitlin Clark handled the situation with a level of grace and maturity that the league and its media partners clearly did not deserve. She repeatedly insisted her success was due to years of hard work and dedication, desperately trying to steer the conversation back to the game of basketball. But the media had found its juicy, controversial angle, and they weren't about to let it go. She was forced to defend her own historic achievements against a flimsy manufactured narrative built to undermine her. This entire situation has been a public relations disaster of epic proportions, portraying the WNBA as an amateur, unprofessional league, incapable of managing its own success. It has created a poisonous atmosphere where new fans feel alienated and existing players feel validated in their resentment. Instead of a story of triumph and growth, the 2024 season became a sordid tale of jealousy, incompetence, and controversy. The ultimate and most damning hypocrisy lies in the WNBA's carefully crafted branding, the league champions itself as a beacon of empowerment, opportunity, and equality for all. Yet, when presented with the single biggest opportunity in its entire history, it allowed its most valuable asset to be torn down, both physically on the court and reputationally in the media. They abandoned her when she needed their protection the most. And that is precisely why the rumors of a European escape are not only believable, but logical. This isn't just about a bigger paycheck, it's about a league that will recognize her for the global icon she is. A league that will build its brand around her, protect her on the court, and celebrate her immense talent without reservation or jealousy. For Clark, Europe isn't just a new destination, it's a potential sanctuary from the chaos. Think for a moment about the ghost of the dynasty they could have built. With Clark as the centerpiece, the WNBA was on the verge of a golden age. Imagine massive new television deals, global expansion, and a new generation of fans who saw the league as a premier sports entity. They had a chance to build an empire, but in their arrogance and incompetence, they burned it to the ground before the first brick was even laid. And so we arrive at the final devastating insult. Now that she's reportedly packing her bags and looking at real estate overseas, everyone at the WNBA and ESPN is suddenly waking up, scrambling to praise the very superstar they spent months ignoring and allowing to be abused. They are now desperately trying to hype up other players, using the very buzz and attention that Clark single-handedly created. But it's far, far too little and unforgivably too late. They had a queen and treated her like a disposable pawn. The WNBA didn't just lose a player, they lost their future.